Venezuelan jets provoke U.S. Navy. What happened next? Shocked everyone. Imagine this. You're cruising through international waters, minding your own business, when suddenly, out of nowhere, two fighter jets appear on your radar, racing toward you at high speed. The problem? Those jets belong to Venezuela, a nation with which tensions have been rising. And the target? The U.S. Navy. The unthinkable has happened. Venezuelan jets have provoked the U.S. Navy, and what happened next? Well, it shocked the entire world. In this video, we're diving deep into the tense standoff that took place between Venezuelan jets and the U.S. Navy. What led up to this incident? How did the U.S. respond? And most importantly, what does this mean for U.S.-Venezuela relations moving forward? Stay with me, because the outcome is more surprising than you might think. The tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela. To understand why this encounter happened, we first need to look at the decades-long tension between the U.S. and Venezuela. The relationship has been anything but friendly, particularly since Venezuela's political shift under Hugo Chavez in the late 1990s. Chavez's anti-American rhetoric and policies, combined with Venezuela's growing ties to nations like Russia and Iran, created a volatile environment. The U.S. in turn imposed sanctions and criticized Venezuela's human rights record and its authoritarian policies. Fast forward to 2023, and the relationship is still fraught with tension. Venezuela has continued to defy U.S. sanctions and has become a key regional ally for countries like Russia, whose military presence in Latin America has grown. This makes Venezuela a strategic player on the global stage, and the U.S. has kept a watchful eye on its every move. So, when two Venezuelan jets decided to provoke the U.S. Navy, it wasn't just a random act. It was a deliberate challenge in an already volatile geopolitical landscape. The Venezuelan jets' bold move. It all started when two Venezuelan Sukhoi Su-30 fighter jets approached a U.S. Navy ship conducting routine operations in the Caribbean Sea. These were not just any jets. They are sophisticated, Russian-made multi-role fighters, capable of carrying out a wide range of missions, including air-to-air combat. These jets came in low, fast, and with a clear intent to provoke. According to reports, the Venezuelan jets circled the U.S. Navy ship for several minutes, performing risky maneuvers and getting alarmingly close to the vessel. At one point, they reportedly came within just a few hundred feet of the U.S. ship. This kind of provocation, especially so close to a highly sensitive military asset, is extremely dangerous. So why did Venezuela decide to engage in such a risky move? There are several possible reasons. First, Venezuela may have wanted to demonstrate its military strength and assert its sovereignty in the face of U.S. influence in the region. By showing off its Su-30 jets, Venezuela was sending a message that it's not afraid to challenge U.S. forces in its own backyard. Secondly, Venezuela might have been testing the response time and strategies of the U.S. military to see how they would react to such an incident. The U.S. Navy's response. As the Venezuelan jets closed in, the U.S. Navy had to act swiftly but decisively. The Navy immediately went into defensive mode, preparing for the worst. The U.S. ship, likely a destroyer or an amphibious assault ship, would have had an array of defensive options at its disposal, including radar systems, electronic countermeasures, and fighter jets ready for takeoff. While the Navy didn't escalate the situation immediately, the response was far from passive. The U.S. would have used its radar systems to track the movements of the Venezuelan aircraft, ensuring they were never out of range. The U.S. would also have put out communication warnings, instructing the Venezuelan jets to break off and divert their course. What makes this incident even more intense is the fact that it occurred in international waters, a region the U.S. Navy regularly patrols as part of its security and operations strategy. But for Venezuela, this is their home turf. The proximity of these jets was a clear indication that they were testing the limits of U.S. power in the region. The shocking turn of events. Just when the world thought the situation would escalate, something unexpected happened. After several tense minutes of high-speed maneuvers and exchanges between military vessels and Air Force commands, the Venezuelan jets abruptly turned away and headed back to their base. There was no missile launch, no direct confrontation, and, surprisingly, no direct military retaliation from the U.S. So why did the Venezuelan jets back off? Was it a matter of caution, or was there a deeper strategy behind the withdrawal? One theory is that the Venezuelan pilots had accomplished their goal. They had demonstrated their military capabilities and proven their presence in the region. Their sudden retreat could indicate that they were satisfied with the message they'd sent, realizing that further escalation could have serious consequences. For the US, the decision to not engage militarily was a calculated one. While the military response might have been available, it's likely that the US leadership didn't want to escalate tensions further. A shooting incident in international waters would have sparked a major diplomatic crisis, something neither side seemed prepared to handle. The US chose to maintain its strategic composure, sending a clear message that it would not tolerate such provocation, but also that it was committed to de-escalation. What does this mean for US-Venezuela relations? In the days that followed the incident, both countries issued statements. Venezuela boasted that it had defended its sovereign airspace, and that the US was the one engaging in provocative behavior. On the other hand, the US Navy maintained that its operations were routine and that the Venezuelan jets acted in an unprofessional manner. But the incident raised some important questions. Has Venezuela become more emboldened in its opposition to US presence in Latin America? Will this lead to more frequent provocations, or will it force both sides to reconsider their tactics in the region? The encounter certainly opened up the door for more tension in the already complex geopolitical landscape of Latin America. For now, it seems both sides are keeping a close eye on each other. The Venezuelan military is likely to continue testing US naval operations in the region, but the US Navy will be prepared for any future provocations, knowing that a single misstep could lead to a larger conflict. Global reactions. This incident doesn't just affect US-Venezuela relations. It has global implications. Russia, which has been increasingly involved in Latin American geopolitics, is closely watching the growing military tensions between the US and Venezuela. The involvement of Russia in the form of arms sales and military cooperation with Venezuela only adds fuel to an already volatile situation. Could we see more provocations from other Russian-aligned nations in the future? The rest of the world is also watching to see how the US reacts to such provocations. Military standoffs like this one send a strong message about a nation's readiness to defend its interests. It's not just about the US and Venezuela anymore. It's about the power dynamics in the Western Hemisphere and the broader global stage. In the end, the Venezuelan jet standoff with the US Navy was a provocative move that could have spiraled into something far more serious. The surprising outcome, de-escalation instead of escalation, shows the delicate balance of military power, diplomacy, and the importance of strategic decision-making in a high-stakes environment. If you found this video informative and want to stay updated on the latest military developments, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. This is just the beginning of an ongoing saga of international tensions that could reshape the future of global military strategy. We'll continue bringing you the stories that matter, so stay tuned.